Okay, so I'm going to do my last slide first, in case people quit. Thank you very much. You guys are all awesome. And I want to say a particular thank you to Megan and to Jennifer because their work was very helpful in designing my course, which I'll show you in a minute. Okay, so we have, I'm at the Mirage School. My name's Ken Murphy. I teach operations type classes, business analytics, nerd classes in business, basically, math classes. And so I just wanted to point out that this class I'm talking about is in this executive MBA program. So executive MBAs are students in their 30s and 40s. They're in a cohort, so they're in a group, and they go to school together for 2 years. So they all know each other well. It's normally, of course, an in-class. In fact, class is held like you see in the picture. Many of these students have 8 to 10 or more years of work experience. Some of them are C-level executives. Other ones are doctors, and so we have a lot of that. And so because of that, they're actually fairly demanding. Also, they pay a lot of money for their education, and they're given food every time they come to campus, and so there's a lot of aspects of it that make them quite demanding, and it's very much a concierge type program. We do meet on Fridays and Saturdays, and we only meet 4 Fridays and Saturdays a quarter. And so when I teach in the fall, I'll meet 4 times on a Friday and 4 times on a Saturday. I'm the low guy on the totem pole, actually. I'm an assistant professor here, so I'm gonna meet on Friday night and Saturday afternoon. So that's how it's gonna work. The class is about operations management, essentially, although it has a more foofy name. We focus on business processes. I just cut in a process so you can see what a business process is. Essentially, it's a flow of activities. And so my whole shtick is that these business processes are pervasive in organizations and that we need to, we have a responsibility to make them operate as efficiently and as effectively as possible. And so we talk a lot about that framework. My meetings are split. So I'm actually meeting this class in person. I was down there yesterday getting training. And so we have a setup where we can run a class in person at the same time as a Zoom class. So some students will be on Zoom, some students will be in person. So I'm gonna teach it face to face. So only 25% of this class is really considered hybrid. So it's a little bit different from many of the presentations today in that sense. This is how I evaluate them. One big component of their evaluation here is participation. Since these students are so experienced, one of my main roles is just get them to share within a framework with each other what they know. So I have, of course, teaching objectives, but usually these students are mature enough, experienced enough to be able to really bring a lot of great content to the class themselves. So participation is a huge part of this. I use online Canvas discussions as part of the participation scores and also Harvard case studies, which you see some screen captures here on the right. It is a typical operations class, at least for undergrads, would be a series of mathematical models. We do present those mathematical models, and I have 3 exams that I'm going to test them. Actually, these exams are what will separate the A's and the B's in the class, and so what I'm going to do is have them take the exams on the weeks that we're not meeting outside of class, and I'll use Canvas quizzes, and I'm not going to proctor the exams. Normally, my normal strategy is open book, open notes. The only thing they're not allowed to do is communicate with each other. So normally what I do is I use different versions for the exam, and I give them a time window to complete the exam. It'll be 2 hours for each of these. And then we have a large course team project that they work in groups that are pre-assigned. Thankfully, I don't have to worry about that. They're pre-assigned groups, and I just set the groups up in, or actually Jennifer did, set the groups up in Canvas, and then we let them roll on the course team project. And that's a major project. And the nice thing about this group, they all have good jobs and they work in good companies, and they can take one of their companies and they can perform the project as a consulting team on one of their companies. So that's also great. So one of the reasons I really enjoy this class is because I get to learn a lot from this class. So I'm going to talk a little bit about my navigation, about my setup. I mean, many of the ideas you've already seen. I'm going to talk a little bit about quick links. I saw it in some people's, but not in others. You might find this useful down the road. I have taught online. I taught online. I have a hybrid class, a different class that I was actually redeveloping for this quarter, but I also taught it in spring quarter. So I was ready, and I'm developing a fully online class for next spring as well, starting this week. I've got some experience in this area. I also want to mention some challenges that I face. So let me show you now my course site. I have this nice navigation that Jennifer has set up. And since my course is in 4 weekends, I decided to make each weekend a module. Now, before I get to that, let me just talk a little bit about getting started. You've seen this a lot. The only thing I could really add here, you'll notice that, and I hope the students like this navigation. By the way, I have not done this course recently. Before, when I taught this course as an adjunct, I'm new to UCI also. I was, it was a 5-weekend meeting course, more of a traditional 10-meeting course. And, you know, I taught it more in that format. One of the challenges I have set up is that I'm 2 hours on Friday night and 3.5 hours on Saturday, which is not a rhythm that I'm totally used to. Anyway, I have these navigation buttons within these buttons so students can navigate to these tabs. What I have started to do in all my courses is develop 3 introductory presentations. One is like, hi, here's who I am, here's what this course is generally about, so pretty short. One is more detail about the way the course is structured and organized, and one is on course evaluation. So students can familiarize themselves with all 3 aspects of this before they come to the first course. The other thing I like about my Getting Started page is I tell them stuff they can do now. So you've got those anxious students that want to get started. I give them some stuff to do so they can start working. And so that's all on the Getting Started page. And then I have more information down here about the course itself. And I have a whole separate syllabus page if they're interested in seeing that and downloading the syllabus. If I go to Module 1, I just want to show you how I have these things set up. So since I have an overview tab, I have a Friday night tab, and I have a Saturday afternoon tab, essentially. And then I have what you do in the week in between classes. So, you know, this is just a small, quick overview and what pages we're using from the textbook for this. And then when we go to the class on Friday, the first class, it'll be on the 9th, you know, we'll have a presentation, we'll do a little example in class, and, you know, spend a lot of time introducing each other, myself and the way I teach and those kinds of things, getting to know them. On Saturday, we'll have our first case discussion. So I don't have the presentation live yet, but I have the sort of guiding questions for the case discussion. And they also have an online discussion forum to participate in. One thing that I saw in someone else's presentation that I kind of liked, historically with 40 students in the class, I would have these discussion prompts and I would get a really long linear discussion, which would be difficult, I think, to digest. So based on an idea the DLI gave me, I'm going to break the students into 4 groups so they can more focus on their individual discussions. And historically, I didn't do much with these discussions besides read them and give them little individual feedback. I think what I can do now is, because there are 4, I can sort of say what I liked about each of the 4 groups, right? So I can do a little bit of a reflection. I think it gives you a little bit more you know, presence with the students if you can say, yeah, I read these and they're interesting and here's why. So, and these discussions I really like these. They get a little tedious for the students, but they relate what we're talking about in the class to their work experience. And so there's this tie of, you know, this group of students is really interested in how we can use what they learn in their practical setting. So let me navigate back. I just wanted to show you one other thing. Oh yeah, so one other thing that I have found really useful when you have, when you have things that cut across the entire class. Many of us have course projects, for example. I have this button called Quick Links. And so Quick Links takes us to a page that provides sort of a general set of resources that they can look at. I want to go to the office hours. I can't exactly remember where they are, or I want to see where the link for the class was. I couldn't go and I want to be able to view it. So things like that. One page in particular, I'll just give you an example. I'll show you the team project. Again, it cuts across the entire class. So they can quickly navigate here. You know, I might put these links in different parts of the actual modules, but I also put them here so that they can quickly, find that same information when they're focused on a particular thing. So this just makes navigation easier. It's a little bit more complicated to set up from the design side, but from the student side, I think it helps the navigation. That's about it. I just want to mention a couple challenges that I face, and I'll show you an example in Module 1. And I haven't, there's not, as far as I know, there's not really a good way to solve this. Again, as part of the week 1 class, there's this online post they have to make. It's actually not due during week 1. So since sometimes students don't do anything before the class starts, and we actually only meet 4 times, I make the discussion post due on the second weekend when we do not have any class. So I have it due on Sunday night of the second weekend. Now that's not part of week 1, so by then it's week 2. So I might want them to know or to remember that in week 2 they have this. So I put the same post up on week 2. So this is a little bit more tedious, and it might cause some confusion because they might wonder if they've actually done it or not. But I think in a way, if I were a student, I'd want to go, okay, it's week 2 now. What do I got to do for week 2? And I'll click on that particular tab, and then I'll see all the stuff that's assigned for week 2. Another thing that, by the way, the DLI helped me with is on those weeks when I'm not present with them in class or not recording a live class Zoom, I have little Zoomettes, if you will, short vignettes of sort of, okay, here's where we are in the class. So I can pop back in and talk about, this is what we learned, here's what you're doing now. And, even on the weeks where there's only an exam, I just say, hey, this is what might be on the, this are the kinds of things that'll be on the exam, on the quiz. And I look forward to your excellent performance there. And so I guess that's really all I had to say. If anybody has any questions, let me know. I'll be happy to address.